What's up, everybody? For this video, I really wanted to be about getting out of your own way because for me, I have always, struggled with consistency and, just hunkering down and staying with it. And I wanted to really express, at least for me, how I process that because I wanted to be a creative writer for since I was 26 years old, and now I'm 40 years old in 2024, and I wanted to make that. And it's a realization when you sit there and you're like, okay, I've had this goal, this dream for that long. Why aren't you further along in this endeavor? And I really had to sit with that, and that's the one thing that I really want to express in my scripts and in my writing as well, all forms of my writing, is that spend time with your emotions and live with why you have these emotions and give equal voice to those emotions or give equal mic time to those voices because those emotions are valid and those voices are a representation of your emotional state that's very complex and you can't silence people and you can't silence emotions. So you always want to give equal time to your emotions because I feel like a lot of us in our society just say, you know what, I can't be mad right now. I can't be frustrated. I can't be depressed right now. I got too many things to do. You put things on the back burner, and that's when everything kind of this accumulates until it overflows into your whole life. But for me specifically, harkening back to getting out of your own way, I wanted to be a creative writer since I was 26, and now I'm 40, and there's very little to show for it. And I was like, why is that? And I was like, first, like, but okay. I want to bypass that emotion. Say, let me just get right to it. Let me just hunker down and just do it. But you got to understand why something's impeding you. And for me, it was like, I had to get out of my own mind. And what I mean specifically is I had this perception of what my scripts were going to look like in my head and like, oh, it's going to be perfect. It's going to be perfect. And first things first, not every idea you're gonna have is gonna be perfect, and not every story is gonna stick the landing. The whole trick to it is getting it out of your head on paper, editing it, and comprising it in such a way that many people can see your creative vision or it resonates with them because they saw something that really resonated with them that was maybe intended or not intended. And so for a lot of time, for me, I was like, man, this script isn't working, or what if they look at this script and then the people I know they say, oh, this is trash, and or just people in general say it's trash, and it holds you back because you talk so highly of yourself. And I'm not gonna lie, I really said I'm out there, pinnacle of all mankind, as you can see. So I talked myself up in my skills, and like you sit there and you're like, well, what if it's not? What if it's not gonna hit? And it gives you kind of this phobia of like of not sticking the landing. And he's like, I'll get around to it, but I still have the passion. But I'll get around to it, and then life happens, and you just get distracted. And I realized, thinking that way, and you wanna have your best foot forward for your work, obviously, but thinking that way is so limiting, and it allows you to have this cyclical loop in your head to where nothing ever gets out, and the people don't know who you are because you're always stuck in your own head. And I realized how limiting that is because part of of learning something or doing something is you have to get better at it. You have to evolve at it. Like nobody just sits there and says, "Oh, I'm gonna be an athlete, or I'm gonna be a thespian, or I'm gonna be a civil engineer, or whatever discipline you decide to go into," and all of a sudden you're just that person. Like, oh my God, that's them. Like you have to build up to that, and that's really where you learn the little nuances that make you great in your own style. You only get that by doing it, and you only do that. You only get those insights by saying, "Okay, I missed it here, I missed it there. Let me get better here, 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 and here." And over time, you get to have that level of greatness. And I'm a firm believer, and I've learned this through my own life. You know, Greatness is when persistence meets resiliency at the crossroads of creativity. That's all it is. And for me, I was like, you know what? if I'm gonna be great in these streets, and however you define great, doesn't have to be like super famous or just however you define greatness. You know, you gotta roll the dice and see what happens and be willing to evolve. And that's what stepping to the left really is in principle is okay, assessing fears, assessing what you can and can't do and why. Ask why you can't do these things and assessing your emotions and understanding that hey, you don't have to step to the right. That's where everybody else does. Like that's only seeing problems and hurdles and adventures only through one lens. But not everybody's gonna see the same thing. Not everybody has the same perspective because not everybody has the same moral hierarchy or logical hierarchy. So everybody, by definition, is gonna see something different, and that's what stepping to the left is seeing all the principles, not all the principles, all the perspectives at play that differ from you, and navigating them all in a healthy manner by giving them equal validity by understanding them. And that's really what stepping to the left is, understanding different perspectives in a healthy manner. Because when we step to the right, we end up being very myopic in what's moral, what's logically sound, and what's common sense. And in reality, all those things really change based on the ecosystem that you're in or based on the person you're talking to and where ecosystem molded them into who they are. So that's really what my stories and my mentality really wants to convey is like, hey, let's see what a different perspective. Let's see what other perspectives are at play on the table as well. And giving um, tips to stepping to the left and maintaining that and showing that through my script. So that's really what I want to do because one of my fears is I don't want to be one of those guys when I'm 60 and 70 years old where I'm like, you know, I could have done that. I could have been a writer, could have been, a filmmaker and do these things. But, just like life happened, things didn't really do where it shake out for me. But, I could have been one of the greats. I don't want to be that person. I want to sit there and say, you know what, when I'm 60 and 70 years old, hey man, I roll the dice. I try to do what I can do the best of my ability. I've learned a lot. Did I make great works of art every single time? No, but I did what I did to the best of my ability, and that's what really gives me peace and happiness. Is at least I tried, and we'll see what happens. So like this is gonna be the video that marks my whole like digital change. Like it's like being more consistent in creating content, and to see what happens, in the years to come. Because it all starts with you know stepping into light and seeing what you can do. And remember that I have to say this too because I'm really looking forward to how the years are gonna unfold for me with this mentality of stepping to the left and trying to figure out the best ways to create stories that see different points of view simultaneously. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what the future holds. But either way, it's going to be an adventure, and I'm so eager to it because keeping the status quo is not for me. So we'll see. We really will see how it's going to happen. And then when I'm 60 and 70 years old, I feel like I'd be more content with say, hey, if it happened, it happened. If it didn't, at least I gave it my best. And that's all any of us can do is say, I tried and I tried, and it happened and it didn't happen, or it didn't happen. But I think that's what delineates the people who do achieve their dreams or achieve any kind of greatness in any discipline, whether it be entertainment or a trade or a science, whatever. Those who keep going, even after they fail or they don't stick the landing, they keep coming back. They keep coming back, and they find ways to evolve. And that's what I really want to do. So I'm excited. Let's see what happens.